Gospel 1680 WOKB, your urban empowerment and inspiration station.
We are the pulse. Without a pulse, you're dead.
We are the heart and soul of the community. Gospel 1680 AM.
Welcome to another edition of Real Family Talk.
Hello, hello, hello. This is not your host, but this is your co-host, Mr. Micah King. I'm filling in for Brother J Real until he steps in the building. But let me go ahead and introduce everybody else who's on the show. I got younger brother over here. Younger brother, say what's good.
What's good? We here. How you doing?
How you doing?
I'm good. On this very great Wednesday evening.
That's great.
Time out.
Okay.
Time out. Y'all know how Jay do it. Welcome to another edition of Real Family Talk. I'm not your host. I'm Brother Chris Shaw sitting in. I got my younger brother over here, and then we got Mr. King in the building. And we got a special guest that's gonna be on the phone line with us. Go ahead and introduce yourself to the world one more again.
The special guest calling in will be none other than Miss Jasmine Burney. Hashtag Chicks in Politics.
Chicks in Politics in the building on the phone. What's going on, Chicks in Politics?
Hi, everyone. How are you all doing this evening?
We are lovely.
It's Wednesday.
Good. It's Wednesday. I'm excited to be on here. Thank you guys for having me.
Oh, we're always happy to hear from you. It's a pleasure to get, the knowledge that you can speak and teach to us. So what you got for us today? What you thinking about, what you're talking about today, Miss Jasmine Burney?
So we're ready to jump right on in, huh? I like it.
That's how we do it around here. It's real family talk. We're just talking. It's okay.
Good. So tonight we are talking presidential candidates who have already declared.
Yes.
I may throw in a few extras who haven't, who we suspect will announce in the coming weeks. But we want to talk a little bit about these presidential candidates. And so far, the pool of candidates is pretty crowded, especially for the Republican side. I'm going to start with the Democratic side since it's a little lighter. So first we have Bernie Sanders, who declared that he will be running for president as a Democratic hopeful in the 2016 presidential election. He's perceived to be someone who's a far-left Democrat. He's, a New Yorker, so his views are quite interesting when you look at him as a presidential candidate. He's definitely outspoken on a lot of issues as it relates to policies that the president has put forward, and has been outspoken about some of the things that Hillary has made statements about recently as well. So he's a pretty cool guy. Interesting, he's a very strong fundraiser. I think I've said this on multiple occasions, being on the show and talking about candidates and races, definitely being able to knock on doors and raise dollars, and it's no different in a presidential race. Being able to raise funds for office is extremely important. And Bernie Sanders, since he announced, has been able to prove that he has a very strong fundraising ability. So that's good to know. Will he win? Will he be a Democratic frontrunner? I don't exactly see that happening for him. Everyone has the right to run. He's another candidate who's in the race, so we'll see. But I don't see him being a frontrunner at all, or even winning this race. But again, everyone has a right to jump in. And then next we have Hillary Clinton, who announced that she will be running and has pretty much revved up the Democratic engine, so to speak, for candidates. She was the first Democratic candidate actually to declare to run for office, and most of the Democratic Party in the entire nation is certainly behind her. We've been waiting and sitting ready for Hillary, no pun intended, to actually declare, and she finally did. And will presumably be the front runner for the Democratic Party. So there is no doubt about it. She will have the nomination, and she will be the one that whoever receives the Republican nomination will certainly lead for us on our behalf. So,
you don't,
of course, go ahead.
That's it. You don't think nobody will sneak up and challenge her?
Oh, no. She definitely will have a challenger. Don't doubt that at all. But as far as the support the work that's already been put in and the sort of atmosphere that she's created around preparing herself to run, there's no doubt that she is certainly the chosen one for the Democratic Party.
Yeah. Are you excited about that? Or
So you don't think that it would be Joe Biden?
Well, no. And I don't think that, only because, number one, Joe hasn't declared yet. He's thinking about it. He hasn't put it out there yet. He hasn't really said anything to speak directly to that run for office. He's sort of shying away from those questions. So right now, we're not sure. There's a strong possibility that he will. But I think if he's smart and if he knows what's best for him, he would not crowd the Democratic pool with making it a very hard decision for our nation to choose.
So you would be against that decision, basically. You
I'm not
for
against
Hillary.
I'm not against anyone running for office. If he chooses to, I want to see whoever puts the best plan forward for me as a woman, as an African American, and then as an American. I want to see who puts the best foot forward and who has the best policy and plan. But as far as Hillary currently being the only Democratic woman in the race right now, I'm all for it. I'm all for a chick in politics. So this is a great opportunity. So I'm excited to see who else will jump in this race. And, of course, the other contender in possibility is Joe Biden. So all we'll do is sit back and wait and see what that possibility looks like.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Have you all heard anything about Joe other than the fact that he is interested? Is that it?
Well, no, I haven't heard much. I heard that he was interested. I was listening about him and Jeb Bush. That's the one that I was actually worried about, because I feel like Jeb Bush had more of a chance than anybody, in my opinion. What do you think about that?
I think that, and I'll get to the Republican contenders in a moment, but I think Jeb will certainly be the front runner, or one of two of the top front runners for the Republican nomination.
Who else would it be besides Jeb?
Well, we've got a whole list. I'm going to go down the list for you. I'm going to give you my analysis on each of them, and we can go from there. But Florida, number one, Florida is going to be a hotbed of action for 2015 and 2016 presidential elections. We are going to see so much activity taking place in this state because a large pool, or a majority of the candidates are going to be from Florida, or they're going to have some sort of direct tie or correlation to this state that will once again make Florida the state that everyone looks at before and after the election. I hope we don't have another situation where we had in 2012, where literally it was almost a week after, and we were still counting ballots to determine who won Florida.
Counting or hiding, whichever how you look at it.
I'm not going to refute. So we have, for our Republican contenders, up we have Mike Huckabee. He announced on this week, actually yesterday, Cinco de Mayo, that he is going to be running for president. He is considered a social conservative and an evangelical Christian. So the one issue that he's probably going to have in running for president nationally is the LGBT community. We've talked about the LGBT community before. We've talked about it in relation to religion and also in relation to race and how powerful this group of people have become in our nation. And if they continue to change laws, especially making marriage legal in, I think, 37 states so far, he's going to have a very hard time proving that that sect or community of people is one that he truly cares about.
Right.
So that's going to be difficult for him. His chances of winning, again, are going to probably hinge on that. It's probably going to hinge on women's rights to choose because of his religious views. Next, we have Mr. Ben Carson.
Yes,
African American.
Ben Carson.
Yeah.
I'm excited about that now.
Really?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Hey, I'm excited.
Hear
I'm very, very excited. Another brother in the office. Let's go.
Okay, good.
With a whole nother viewpoint. We know a lot of us didn't like, a lot of people, I should say, didn't like what President Obama had to say, a lot of things he's done. So you have another African American gentleman coming along with totally opposite views. So let's give him a shot and see what he does.
And I completely agree. Let's give the brother a second shot. Let's give them two shots with a completely different view. Exactly what younger brother was saying. Because we need our opportunity, and I support the brothers. Don't you, Miss Burney?
Well, I support, again, anyone who decides to run for office. Everyone has that opportunity to throw their name in the hat, and I say do it.
You say do it, but you support the brothers, right?
I support who I think has the best policies that mirror the lifestyle that I currently
It's like Family
live.
Feud. Good answer. Good answer.
Survey says.
So he represents sort of the Republican grassroots community. So the people who really get out there and they knock on doors and they have, real radical opinions about conservative ideology. He's the person that really rebel rouses up that group of individuals, and is going to be someone to watch. Since entering the race, some of the Republican contenders, based on polling, have gone down slightly in their numbers and their favorability, and they think that it has something to do with him entering the race. So we'll see. He went from having absolutely nothing, being completely poor, on government assistance, to becoming a neurosurgeon, which is a pick yourself up by the bootstrap mentality and story that I think both Democrats and Republicans alike can agree on can look at and say, I can appreciate that about him, and he may be someone, or he may have a story that I'd like to follow and see what he can provide and offer. However, on the opposite end of that, he has an extreme way of addressing different policy issues, and that is probably going to be an issue for him moving forward in this race because he is so extreme. In one instance, he compared ISIS to our nation's founding fathers. That's a bit extreme for a lot of people in the nation, especially conservatives. So for him to move that agenda along and see how else he addresses other issues, we're going to have to wait to see what he says about it. And then his very outspoken, feelings towards our President Barack Obama. The African-American community is like, wait a minute, this is our first African-American president. You need to calm down. Yeah. We don't like the approach you're taking. So, again, he's one to watch. Will he win? No. But he's one to watch.
I mean, but he's trying to get himself in with the crowd, kind of type move. What he's trying to do, it's like I'm not the best chess player, but let me see what move that I can make to ruffle somebody's feathers right quick, just so I can get in and see what I can do.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's a nice strategy that he's doing. I just think he's going about it in a kind of a extremely mild manner. Mm-hmm. So
Jay Real says he has the quintessential American story. Yeah. So if anything, if he pushed that might be
give him a leg up.
Yeah, that might be his leg to run on.
It very well could be something that he can run on, especially for the Republican Party to appeal to a mass amount of individuals, groups that they've never actually been able to connect with, more importantly, minorities and women.
Right.
So if he has that ability, then certainly, but the system or the machine, if you will, the Republican machine, isn't going to put a lot of effort behind him. They will definitely put it behind the front runner. So if he doesn't win, I still think that there are other opportunities for him outside of this run. And running nationally, I think, is the best way for anyone to get their platform out there and to parlay that into something else later. Yeah. And I see him definitely doing that. Next, we have Carly Fiorina. She, so far, is the only Republican female who has declared to run for president in this race, and she, too, also announced on this week that she will be running. She is the former CEO of Hewlett-Packard, and she previously ran for office for Senate in California back in 2010 and lost, unfortunately, but has decided to try her hand again at running for office and decided, hey, I'm going to run for president. So she's thrown her hat in there, and she's taken that leap. So we will see how she does. Prior to entering, though, there was a lot of media around her speaking out on Hillary Clinton running for office and a lot of Hillary's views. You almost saw every other day if Hillary made an announcement or a speech, and Hillary hadn't even declared yet, but made some sort of public statement, there was Carly to rebuttal or denounce or speak against what she was putting out there in the atmosphere. So if she's the chosen one for the Republican Party, she may be the chosen one for female attention and to garner that sort of female vote. So we'll see how it pans out. Again, she's definitely not a front runner for the Republican Party, but she is a woman that's added to the mix of potential candidates to run for Republican office.
Wow.
For president.
Wow.
That sounds like a good strategy to get your name out there every time Hillary speaks. You say something.
Just come back and say something.
Yeah.
And she's been receiving national press for it. I agree. I think it's a great strategy, especially if she wants to run again for that Senate seat later. Mm-hmm. The entire state's about to know who you are, as opposed to just that segment of people you're planning to market to.
Now, is there a strong possibility that we could have our first female president of the United States?
There's a 50-50 opportunity right now where you have a Hillary Clinton as the Democratic challenger, and then you have what will evidently be a male as the Republican leading challenger. So there's a 50-50 opportunity, and I think that's the greatest chance we've had since Hillary first ran in 2008.
Well, I would like to know, why we not on the Ben Carson ticket. That's what I don't understand. I'm really confused of why we own the Hillary. Like, it's been that way. We own the Hillary ticket, the Hillary Clinton ticket. We own that ticket. Why? Because she's a woman. But we won't be on the black man ticket. I don't understand.
Well,
that.
It's not
I'm
so
so
much.
confused.
It's not being indecisive or confused at all. I ain't taking nothing away from Ben at all, because Ben got. I like his strategy and what he's trying to do and the moves that he's trying to make. But at the same time, remember when Hillary was running against President Barack Obama? It was the first time, and she had a lot of support. So Bill, President Barack Obama, in my opinion, which I thought was going to go and grab her and say, hey, you're not the president, but my vice president would be a great backing, and those two combined together. So that's what I was, basically saying, the 50% chance of a female president. Not taking nothing from Ben.
No, not taking nothing from Ben, but we should just give it to Ben just cause. That's all I'm saying.
The brother need
and that's what
chance.
everybody else does. That's what the Hispanics don't come to your store unless you got a Hispanic store. That's how everybody else does, but not us though. I don't understand that. That's all I want to know.
So I think that when choosing a president, it's a good thing to look beyond race and beyond gender. Look at someone who has policy issues that mirror the life that you currently live. And if Ben Carson is someone who is a conservative, who doesn't believe in pro-choice issues or does, someone who doesn't acknowledge the LGBT community, someone who also publicly lamblasts and denounces our president every opportunity that he gets, isn't exactly someone that I would want to be my president in the future.
I mean, but
so what I say to you is don't look at the race or even the party. If that's someone you want to support, galvanize a community of people around him in the issues that you agree with and support him.
Okay.
But historically, you look at African Americans and women, well, African Americans primarily, minority groups, we go with the Democratic candidate. And we've went with the black man, President Barack Obama.
Hold on for me right quick, Ms. Burney. We got a call. Are you still with me, Miss Ann?
Yeah, I just wanted to say about Mr. Carson, Dr. Carson, he's going nowhere. I think he talks and acts like a Tea Party candidate, and I think if he had gone on Fox and say what he thought on his own platform type thing, but the minute he started running down President Obama, he's turned off a lot of us. He's going to be in the category of Judge Thomas, the Supreme Court judge. He's going to head in that category, and that's the group he's going to fall in. He is not going anywhere. Like 999 Pizza Man, he is not going anywhere. Thank you.
Thank you for your call, Miss Ann.
But she said, in other words, his stock value done went down.
Wow.
Because he done slipped up. So it's over with and done.
I mean, but this is the thing. Everybody has a past, right? I mean, he said what he said because he's a Republican. Republicans say what they have to say against Democrats so that the Republican Party can look like the smarter, better party, I guess. But, you know, the same thing when Mr. Barack Obama, our president, when he first came out and he had the pastor that was saying things and they was trying to, you know, go against what he was saying and everything. But, you know, everybody has their past. Everybody has their different personalities to say what they want to say. But now that we got Brother Real in the building, Brother J. Real, are you with me?
I'm with you, brother. I'm with you. How you doing, Miss Burney?
Oh, well, how are you?
I'm doing all right.
You missed a heated debate about Mr. Ben Carson.
I did hear some of it in the car. I appreciate Mr. King for holding me down because Mr. King knows until Ben is out of the race, Ben is my man. So, so I appreciate it, Mr. King. Mr. King holding it down, man. You're right. He has made some outlandish statements, and certainly within the black community, that's going to put him on the outskirts. You know, he was already there when we found out he actually wasn't a Democrat. That really hurt us a lot, I believe. A lot of people's feelings were hurt on that one, I believe. But but now that we know he is a Republican, it hurts him even more to know that he is so boldly critical of the president, and it is what it is as far as he's concerned. The truth is the truth, and he's going to tell it. No matter how you like it, how you want to hear it, he's going to say what he has to say. But I appreciate that about him, and we'll see how it works in the Republican world, if you will, because he has to get out of that world before we can even talk about him nationally, really. But hey, you know, we'll see what happens. He is the kind of the dark horse, long shot candidate. But we'll see how it goes down.
Is there a chance that Ben Carson got a little thug in him?
He got a lot of thug in him.
He's got something, bro.
He from the D. He from the D. Don't let that medical degree fool you.
Right.
That's why he say what he want to say.
We all supporting Ben. I don't know why we on any other ticket. Just because Ben look like us, I'm supporting him. That's all I know. You look like me. You know, what else would I do? Am I going to go with the one who don't look like me or the one who look?
But see, it's all about the political views and the aspect and what.
That's what I've been told for the first 100. I'm sorry, it was 32, 33.
42.
It was 42? Okay, that's what I was told for the first 42. Okay, I'm good. I'm past first 42, and they trying to get me to the first 48. I'm good on that. I'm straight. This brother is running. I'm going to support
Jasmine, can we
the
get
brother.
some help, please?
That's all I'm trying to say. I'm not going to support the lady.
Jasmine, can we get some help with that, please? Please.
Is she still there?
Ms. Burney, are you still with us?
Oh, yes, I'm here. I've been talking. I'm sorry.
Oh, Jesus.
I'm still here.
She's multitasking. That's all right.
She's multitasking.
It's okay. So the next candidate we have on the ballot is Marco Rubio. So Marco Rubio announced last month he is a Hispanic senator right here from, from Florida. So again, one of those other candidates who comes out of Florida who will be running for president. He has the Republican establishment behind him. He certainly has been groomed from, if you will, birth, and has a level of prestige behind him and preparing him for this moment. So that essentially explains why he would place his name in the hat. A lot of people don't know why he would do it if Jeb Bush is going to announce, and he has been considered the front runner for this race. I think he's doing it now because if you remember when President Barack Obama ran and you had Mitt Romney in the race, a lot of people thought that Chris Christie should have thrown his hat in the race at that time, and Chris Christie chose not to. Since then, Chris Christie has received a lot of bad press, has made quite a few bad decisions, is dealing with currently a corrupt cabinet of individuals that he has appointed to served under him as governor. He's really dealing with a lot, and it has also been rumored that he may throw his hat into the race to be president, but he's doing it in a very, very tough space. Right now just isn't a good time for him to want to do that. So Marco Rubio, I think, is taking a lesson or a page out of his playbook and saying, I'm not going to wait like Chris Christie did. I'm going to strike while the iron is hot, and this is the time for me to do it. So I'm going to put my name in regardless of what may happen. And essentially, he could do, again, as Hillary did, place his name in the hat, win under Jeb Bush, become, a member of his cabinet, and then essentially go on to run again for president at a later date and time. But he is in the race and does have the establishment behind him, again, a Hispanic male, and, a young candidate as well. So we'll see how well he plays. He says that he's the candidate for the newer, fresher generation. So we'll see if his policies really reflect a newer, fresher generation of millennial voters in the coming months and years going into that race. Any comments about Marco, since he's a part of the home team?
He is. He's my number 2 guy, actually.
He's my bottom candidate.
He's my number 2. He's my number 2. Only I give him the pass because his path is sort of like President Obama's path, in the sense that they were both first-term senators, and they're sort of going for the shot. People have been kind of grooming him and saying he was the next, the best shot for a Hispanic president for a few years now, and so he's taking his shot to see how it works. And so, just for that reason, I'm going to give him a pass. I mean, he too is kind of depends on where you are as far as your issues on Marco Rubio. We'll see what he has to say as far as his plan as president, but just on his story alone, he's my number 2. It'd be interesting to see a Hispanic president. Although I know in his case, again, he's Republican, so he doesn't really have a lot of his base, Hispanic base, with him. So that's going to be, I think, a huge challenge, because I think the advantage, if he were to get the nomination, would be the fact that he's Hispanic. But it's going to play against him that a lot of Hispanic people don't necessarily like Marco Rubio.
And that's why he's at my bottom. When your people don't like you, I can't help you.
We got a call on the line. How you doing, Ann?
I just called before. I just want to say the last person who made his comment that Rubio is his number 2, Rubio is not going anywhere. He's running for vice president. Raise his profile. Sorry. Bye.
Wow.
I love Ann. She is great.
That's the second one. That's the second
Wow.
time. So he just basically shot himself in the foot too.
I guess.
That's another good way of summing it up. I think she did that very well.
Yes.
So next we have on the list Rand Paul. He too has declared that he will be running for office. I told you all this field was very crowded, so bear with me. His father, Ron Paul, is also known for being he's a former representative and a 3-time presidential candidate as well. So that similarity in the name is where you probably have heard him before. So Rand Paul, he is a part of the Ron Paul family. Tea Partiers really like him. Libertarians like him. He has a nice, good, old Republican supporter base behind him. Not necessarily the newer machine and infrastructure, but he's carrying along that family name and those supporters who like him. He doesn't really have a large stance on same-sex marriage. He's certainly passionate about, civil liberty issues, and he has a strong view on foreign policy. So that's another piece that I noticed in the 2008 election with President Barack Obama running, was that he did not have a strong foreign policy background. So that is something that I think will probably be another issue, especially as we deal with issues like ISIS. This will be something that we look for in a candidate, or at least we should be looking for in a candidate, is how well they deal with international relations and foreign policy issues.
Right. It'll be
Any thoughts?
interesting. I think a lot of people, he certainly has a little bit more credibility, I think, than certainly Rubio and Carson right now, at least. But we'll see.
Okay.
It's a crowded field in the Republican field right now.
It is crowded, but if you ask anyone if he's going to win, it really just depends on what their views are of him and his father. That really just ties together. So next we have Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz launched his campaign way back in March, and he has a strong backing of really hardcore conservatives and Tea Partiers. It's really, really, really a strong group of those individuals. He's considered to be a social conservative, and he has been able to raise a substantial amount of money and boost his visibility in the race. So that's something that speaks to him. He started off a little weak, and is still sort of lagging behind other candidates, but does have that Tea Party support. And we saw that emergence of the Tea Party and how well they effectively swept our nation with gaining House and Senate seats in our United States Congress. So we will see how well, even if Tea Partiers still have the breath that they had back when they started the Sweep of the Nation, if it will prove well for Ted Cruz. What do you guys think of him? Okay.
I think
Giving the man an opportunity to speak. I saw him trying to talk over there.
no, I think I'm supporting Ben Carson.
To me, Ted Cruz is going to be great for that Tea Party wing of the Republican Party. I just wonder how much outside of that he can really grab, because he is so he's not willing. I mean, he's very willing to kind of step out on the ledge and do what everybody else is afraid to do. And so when you're talking about appealing to the moderates and then the kind of that base, I think that he's going to have some challenges there. But that Tea Party wing, I think he's going to lock down, no problem.
So here are a few more who haven't exactly declared, but we know that there is a strong 99.9% chance that they are going to throw their hat into the race. They just haven't done so yet. And we'll start off with, of course, Jeb Bush, another person from the home team, former governor of Florida, brother of George W. Bush. He will be announcing his bid to run soon, and I'm sure we'll all be waiting on pins and needles to hear what this announcement will be. He has a strong backing of establishment Republicans, again, those who supported his brother, Jeb Bush. If they want to see that Bush, return, they're going to support him. And he has a very large donor base. He's got the finance that he needs to really run a large, well-funded, and financially secure campaign. But we've seen how previous Republican candidates have run large, well-financed races against President Barack Obama and have lost twice. So we'll see how well he uses his strategy to run for president. I've heard people in Florida say Jeb wasn't a horrible governor. Jeb really corralled the faith-based community when he was governor of this state. I know a very loud and proud pastor in South Florida, African-American male, who will get out and stump and hold signs and speak on behalf of Jeb Bush once he announces. So this is going to be a tricky one for our state. I wonder what it will look like for the rest of the nation. Thoughts on Jeb?
Yeah, Jeb is going to be a contender. I'm really disappointed about that. I would think after
Me too.
the years of Bushes, it's sort of like I feel the same way about Hillary Clinton. After the years of hearing the name Clinton, after years of hearing the name Bush, we'd want to actually move on from these people and get some different ideas. But you're right. He hasn't gotten into the race, and he's going to be a big game changer when he does get into the race, because he will carry a lot of that base because he fits the model. He's that candidate that they're looking for. So and then he's he's not your traditional Republican. I mean, he's willing to kind of bend on immigration and a few other issues as well. So that kind of gets him into that moderate category. And so they're looking for that. So
and another piece to add to that is his wife, who is a Hispanic woman here in Florida. May have a lot to do with his views being moderate. I wouldn't say may have a lot to do with his wife being Hispanic having to do with immigration. Marco Rubio, who is a Hispanic male, doesn't feel that strongly about supporting immigration bills in Congress.
Yeah, he learned his lesson on that one. He learned his lesson.
Yeah. So we can't look at him to solely say because he's married to a Hispanic woman he'll care about that issue. But
but he's expressed some views that suggest he's willing to bend a little bit more than the average Republican.
Certainly.
See, and that's an issue. That's why I got a problem with him. Now, you married to an Hispanic lady, and you feel that way, I can't trust you, bro.
Well, I think it all just depends. Again, it goes back to my statement about, voting for someone who mirrors the views that you strongly care about. And when we think about immigration, the face so far has been that of the Hispanic community, but we've got to look at individuals in our Caribbean community, individuals in our African diaspora. There are a number of different people who belong to this immigration fight. Although we only see the face of certain people, we really need individuals of those Caribbean communities in the African diaspora to come forward and share their stories about immigration, as that will be something that people talk about heavily between now and 2016, especially, again, here in Florida. Another possibility in this race is Chris Christie. I mentioned him earlier, out of New Jersey. He's dealing with a lot of heat currently for some of the decisions he's made as governor. One of those is the Bridgegate incident, where he wouldn't allow the bridges to be opened up for access for people to leave the city during a catastrophe. He also has two top appointees plead guilty to the George Washington Bridge scandal. So these are things that he is going to have to face if he chooses to run for office. He will have to publicly and openly address this and talk about it in a way that may be uncomfortable for him. And the Chris Christie wave, I think, has probably gone over and is no longer. And I said that again when talking about when I talked about Rubio. Ride that wave, and if it's high right now, jump in. For Chris Christie, that was the case back in 2008. It is no longer.
Right. Yeah, he's lost a lot of respect in that community. I remember Sean Hannity used to be one of his biggest fans and supporters, and he has nothing positive to say about Chris Christie right now. He's dirt to him, and he's one of the voices of that of the Republican community. So that's not a good look for Chris Christie right now.
Yeah, it's not. Another one to look at, and I'll go through these quickly. Scott Walker. It is another 99.9% chance that he will enter in the race. He is the governor of Wisconsin. Republicans like him. Republicans support him. They enjoy him. He's another one who's considered to be a social conservative, and we'll see how he fares in this race. No one really knows. He has a great personality. So that's another thing voters identify with, like they did with President Barack Obama. We'll see.
Yeah, Jeb Bush and Scott Walker are the two big knowns in that Republican field. So once they get in, I think we'll really be able to get a real picture of where we're at, because I think it's going to be up and down. Rubio 1 week, Carson another week, Rand Paul maybe 1 week or so. But when those two establish what they are doing, and at least confirm what everybody assumes they're going to be doing, I think we'll get that true picture of where we're at. It's going to be a fun ride watching all those debates with what is that, about almost 8-9 people that are going to be on the stage. So
I don't know how they're going to do that debate.
It will certainly be lengthy.
Yes.
But we'll see. And then just the last few. Rick Santorum, another individual. He is a former Pennsylvania senator. He's going to jump in. We've got Rick Perry, very likely. He's out of Texas. He will be jumping in. And then we've heard rumors in the rumor mill that Sarah Palin may jump in to run for president.
Why?
She apparently made a speech back in January that stated, she alluded to it, but then backed up on it. So we're going to wait to see. I hope she doesn't. My personal opinion. But we'll see how that all fares. I don't think it's likely, though.
I hope she does. If it was any female candidate that I would vote for, it would be Sarah.
Nah, bro, we vote for Ben Carson, man.
Yeah, I mean,
I said a female. If I had to go between females, it would be Sarah.
Why her? I'm just asking. That's not a problem.
No comment. Okay.
All right. Okay. Well, we'll move on. So these are the candidates so far that have declared and will possibly declare soon throughout the nation to run for president in both the Republican and Democratic parties. So we shall sit back and see and watch these highly contested races through the debates. And again, I encourage everyone listening and you all in the studio, certainly vote for people who mirror the ideas, beliefs, policies, and values that you hold personally, and not just hold them to their skin color, their gender, and their party.
No.
Seriously, take a deep dive into what you're getting ready to do, especially as this Barack Obama phase in for so many voters.
No.
Ben Carson, that's what you.
Yeah, there you go. Like, let's be real. Why would you do that? That's like saying, just vote for somebody because they sound like they know what they talking about.
They voted Barack Obama in, right?
Didn't they?
Because he was black.
There you go. now we're gonna vote for the woman because she's a woman.
I'm sorry, that's not true, Miss Burney. They voted him in because of his belief system.
I'm not gonna lie, that's not what I voted.
And you can't. You got to tell the truth, Jasmine. You voting for her because she's a woman. That's it.
No, absolutely not. I had an opportunity to vote for her back in 2008, and I didn't. This is her first time running for president. She was a woman then. She's a woman now. So, no, that is inaccurate.
Yeah, no, I believe you, Jasmine. I know you definitely going to look at the issues and things.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we appreciate you and we have you on the show.
Exactly.
As me, on the other hand, just go be honest with you.
I hear Jason Henry's on the phone. How you doing, Jason?
Jay Henry.
What's going on, man?
Jay Henry.
We doing all right, man.
Real quick, Jay Henry, you was cheating on us. I heard you on the radio last night, but it wasn't on our show.
What's going on, man? What's your comment tonight?
He was calling to tell us how he loved being on, so right?
Yeah, man. Yeah, I was gonna tell you how much I've heard everything you had to say about him. Some of the stuff that I read, and I figured that I'm like my man Michael, man. We're living in an alternate universe, so may as well go ahead and jump on the bandwagon.
There you go.
There you go.
I mean,
there you go.
Jasmine just cannot admit that she's only voting for her. Because she's Jasmine just we at least all admitted, hey, that brother black, I'm gonna stick with the brother. That's what she will not say, well, I'm gonna jump on the women's rights movement. That she just won't say it. She just won't say it.
Of course I'm gonna be a part of the women's rights movement. I'm just not going to vote strictly because Hillary is a woman. I'm going to look at her entire profile, and if it mirrors the life that I live, she will get my vote.
But you're a woman, so of course that's what she will be aiming for, the lifestyle.
That is a horrible argument. I voted for President Barack Obama when Hillary was running for office. Try again.
She's gonna be voting on the issues, Mike.
I hear you.
Yeah, she's gonna vote on the issues.
She's gonna vote on the issues.
I know that.
And issues
Yeah,
on
that. I'm voting for Ben because he's the only brother in the race.
That's what I'm talking about.
Tell the truth.
That's what I'm talking about.
Jasmine just don't want to admit it yet. It's understandable. When she win, then you're gonna be like, "That's right, women run this," and it's okay. It's gonna be like, well, you're a Beyonce fan. You're voting for Hillary. Come on now, come on. Just tell the truth.
Horrible argument.
Oh man. You were gonna. Did you have some comments on Baltimore too, Miss Burney?
So I will say about Baltimore is that I absolutely love a majority. I won't say all. I love a majority of the women who are currently running Baltimore politics right now, as it relates to, of course, the state attorney who is fiercely taken on such a powerful role in leading the fight to bring charges towards these individuals who've caused harm on, the young man that experienced such a horrible tragedy. And to note, if you haven't looked at the mugshots of these individuals, half of them are African American, the other half of them are white. So to think that she's just doing this because it happened to a black man, that is an inaccurate way of looking at it. But I can't change anyone's views about it. Our nation has been dealing with this for so long. We're going to be passionate about what happens from this point forward.
All right. I know you need to go, Ms. Burney, so I'll let you go. We will talk to you at another time.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
really
Jazz.
appreciate it.
Thank
Have
you,
a great evening.
You too. 407-894-1680 is the number, 407-894-1680. I assume you're still there too, right, Henry? Did you? Oh, okay. What's your thoughts on what's going on in Baltimore, man?
I don't know, man. That's kind of a fluid situation. I think more than anything, I'm kind of, if I had excitement or if I had disappointment, I try to find balance between the two because you don't really know what's going to happen. It was, great that the officers were charged, but we've seen this movie play out before where charges have been handed down, but the outcome that most were looking for, we didn't arrive at that destination. So until we get to that point, until the entire process kind of plays out, then it's just kind of like, yeah, you know what, great, but, let's see what happens on the back end. The other side of it is I think that Baltimore and Ferguson are the juxtaposition of the two are interesting as it relates to politics and the color of the politicians that we elect. So if you remember with Ferguson, it was we need more of the residents to be involved. We need more residents to go out and vote so that we can get more black people on the city council, maybe even flip the mayor to a black person so that we can have, better policies and better things to happen in the community. Well, with Baltimore, there's a black state attorney, there's a black police commissioner, half the city council, actually the vast majority of the city council is black, the mayor's black.
Yeah, it's like 9 out of 14 or something like that.
Baltimore. So, and again, that's not an indictment necessarily on black politicians or white politicians, more of an indictment on the system that we have. But we just have to be careful with just automatically thinking that because someone looks like us, that they're going to have our best interests at heart.
Right. Yeah.
Mayor, Stephanie Rawlins, I forget her because she has a split last name. But, she's calling for a Justice Department review of the police department, which I don't think that's, necessarily a negative on her leadership. They did the same thing with, I believe it was Detroit. They did the same thing with Ferguson. They've done it all over the country. So, that's not anything out of the norm. She's calling for body cameras, which she called for in the past, but she did veto a bill last November where the city council, she said, kind of overstepped their bounds to force the Baltimore Police Department to have body cameras. She wants them to come to that conclusion on their own, and now she's saying that we need to rush to go ahead and put them on there. So I just think that more than anything, we need to pay attention to the process. Stop getting so wrapped up in what the politician looks like. Just because they're black, that does not mean that they are going to have your best interests at heart. Just because they're white doesn't mean that they're a devil. We just have to find some type of balance. And as long as we have politicians that are beholden to millionaires and to donors that have more money than we do, if our economic base isn't strong enough to support the candidates that we need to push the policies forth that are going to aid our community, then, we're just going to continue in this vicious cycle. So, for me, it's just about finding the balance. And, right now I'm just kind of in the middle, like, I'll just wait and see.
The one thing I found interesting is when you look at a lot of the coverage now that she's charged them, it seems like all the coverage now is being dedicated to two stories. Either one, the state attorney is overstepping her bounds in the charges that she's bringing forth, or two, now we're seeing a bunch of stories about how, Freddie Gray had a knife, and that knife may be illegal, or that knife may be legal, but he had a knife, and so how does the knife play into, what happened to him? And it's like, really?
How does that?
And he was under arrest. What does a knife from an arrested man have to do with anything to lead to a broken neck? I mean, come on, people.
Right, and that kind of sounds like, in my opinion, a cover-up from the police where they're saying that, no, he had a knife, so our arrest was justified.
Right.
Well, okay, well, why was he being accosted in the first place? It wasn't because he brandished a knife and was running towards the police officers. It just seems like, they just kind of picked him out because they said he made eye contact with him, and then they said, whoa, he must be suspicious. So if he did have a knife, how did you find out that he had it? That's just not. It just doesn't seem to me that should be a justification to say, okay, we have a technicality, so two of these charges or two of these officers shouldn't be charged because they did arrest him for lawful reasons. Yeah, and then the other side of it, how does he end up, like you said, with a severed spine and a crushed voice box because he had a knife?
Right.
No way in the world should, you be in the back of a paddy wagon and you end up dead coming out on the back end of it when you arrived alive. So, I mean, there's just so much involved in this. If you read in the Baltimore Sun today, there was a op-ed published by a former assistant state attorney that said that, like you said, that she overstepped her bounds. At the end, she wrote a very small paragraph that I think kind of encapsulates what a lot of people believe. If you're a police officer, you need to find another job, and if you live in Baltimore, you need to move. Those were her exact words. Just because of what Marilyn Mosby did in charging these police officers, she's stating that police will no longer have the authority to properly, fulfill their duties as police officers because of these charges. Therefore, residents will no longer have safety, which I think is insane. I mean, if you're going to use that type of dangerous rhetoric, then, it just kind of seems to me that either you have an axe to grind or that you're trying to protect the police.
Right.
So try to find a middle ground, but, man, with all this cacophony, man, good luck.
Yeah, it is. It's crazy. I really do believe the biggest reason why they're coming at her the way she is, I think it's, racial personally. It has to be. You know what I'm saying? Because like you said in that article, you're making a leap that she's going to treat all police this way. But let's step back for a second. A man has his neck broke for essentially having a knife. You know what I mean? If let's give him. I'll give you. Maybe he did have a knife in his pocket, but really, he goes from having a knife in his pocket to a neck broken. I mean, come on. Where is that justification?
How do we leap to that conclusion that he had a knife, so he had a right to break his neck? Yeah. Like, come on, man. Like, really? And then, the Baltimore Police Department, there was an article today that said that, they're using their Twitter for propaganda, which, there's proof of that, which when the riots were, or not riot, when the uprising, I say, was happening, they sent out a tweet that said a bunch of criminals have just set fire to a garbage can outside the public library. Well, immediately after that tweet was sent out, a reporter from The Guardian said, that is a bold lie. I'm standing right here. The police set that fire. It was sparks from tear gas that landed on paper in a garbage can. That's how the fire happened. So if you're dealing with that type of, again, dangerous rhetoric and negative propaganda from those who are supposed to protect you, then how do you feel as a resident, living in that city?
Mm. And that's the black police chief, right?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. You got a black police commissioner, black mayor, black state's attorney. The majority of the black, city council is black. So it's like, all right, man, who do we turn to?
And 50% of the force
turn
is black
to
too,
right?
Turn to God, exactly. Oh, Ben Carter.
Ben's got the solution, man.
Ben said that if you go to prison, you come out gay. That's why it's a choice. So
I read that and I fell out laughing. That was hilarious.
He's got some different thoughts.
He's the brother in the race. Until we get another brother in there, and I have to, make up my mind. But as of right now, Ben Carson, 2016, I'm down with it.
I appreciate it, Jason, man. What do you think, though, Jeremy? You think it's racially motivated that they're coming at the state attorney the way they are about the charges she made?
Of course, it is. Actually, I think it's race and gender, to be honest with you, because you know how, man, who does she think she is telling us how we supposed to police people, And it's one of the things, like, how is somebody going to say, oh, don't be a police officer in the state because she charged some who did their job wrong? So when we hold people to their mistakes that they did on the job, so something's wrong with that.
Apparently.
That's the part I don't get. It's that, see, that's that elitist attitude that we really have to deal with when you're dealing with some police officers. They really have that. I'm the police. You don't question me. If I broke his neck, that's because I was supposed to break his neck. He deserved it. You know what I'm saying? Like, they had that attitude. How dare you question me on what I do? And a lot of them say, well, I put my life on the line every day. Well, evidently we put life on the line every day too, walking down the street.
Exactly.
So it's like, you can't use that argument. That's an old argument. If you did your job right and just, and was respectful and treated everybody right, then you can say that. But when you're not doing it, why am I supposed to respect because you put your life on the line when my life might be on the line if I come across you?
And that's the issue right there. People, you scared of the police these days. And I think that's why a lot of this is uprising, because they want you to be back scared of the police. I mean, it's multiple things that's going on, but, you know, when you go because of a knife and you in the police car, hands behind your back, and you don't come out the police car the same way you went in, hands behind your back, it's something wrong, man. And a couple of people need to go to jail, and there need to be more action taken, because I think this is just so light taken. Like, you know, no police officers are afraid to do something that they should not do, and that is the problem. People are terrified, man. Hold on now, you know. A lot of kids ended up dead. They go to police, let me just chill. The police aren't afraid of any consequences or actions against them for anything that goes wrong, because all they got to say is, well, my life was in danger, so I went ahead and broke his neck in the back seat with the handcuffs on after I tased him 5 times.
And that's a big issue. The fact that,
wow,
like you said, they're not afraid to do whatever,
they're not afraid to do
nothing.
Like, you know, they feel like, well, you know, I'm under oath, so since I took that oath, I can do whatever. I'm in the biggest gang in the world. They got my back. All I got to say is this, and they teach me on how to coach. They coach me on what to say.
Oh, we hope not.
What?
We hope not. We hope not. They're not coaching people what to say. Do you guys see what the charges were?
Of course they coach them what to say.
They coach them.
Your own lawyer coaches you. What you mean? You got a lawyer. What?
The first thing they do is, well,
this is what you're going to say.
You're going to say, well, what happened? Well, he ran out the building. So you're saying he ran out the building and made a threatening motion? Yeah, he ran out the building with a threatening motion, or he ran out with his hands in his pocket. You know, it happens. Hey, I watched First 48.
They basically, you know, because they got your back before they have the perps back.
And to be honest with you, like I said last, if I'm a police officer, I understand. Now, I'm not looking out for my brother who we going life with. You know, you understand what I'm saying? But I think it's the attitude about it. I think is what the bigger issue is the attitude. They're not afraid to just do whatever. Now, if somebody is genuinely making a mistake or genuinely really felt like their life is in danger, then, you know, maybe that's up in the air. But it's just like, it's like such a military mind state, if you will.
In the non-military environment.
Exactly.
Did you see the charges that they got? Yeah,
I did. The charges were good, but I want to see the convictions.
Yeah, we'll see. I think some of them. I think what's going to ultimately end up happening, because some of them are going to. I think it's going to be a challenge to get all of them on every single count or charge that they got.
Exactly.
So it's going to be just a matter of which charges can they actually make stick of all the ones that they got charged for. So it's going to be interesting. I'm sure it's going to take at least another 6 months to a year before we see any kind of movement towards anything. But it'd be interesting to follow. Another case, you know, again, at least we're talking about it.
Right.
You know, it's staying in the news, and people are hopefully taking steps to see how we can end these problems and solve these problems. I thought one of the things that was pretty cool is the gangs in Baltimore decided to make a truce. It's funny how, you know, a death by the police is what actually causes them to make a truce. Like making a truce just for the goodness of a truce is just too much.
The gangs been made a truce, man. Don't make you think that's what you ain't never heard no Crips and Bloods doing nothing against each other in how long? They been made a truce.
Baltimore has crime. What are you talking about?
Because they got crime. I mean, it's the gangs. That don't mean nothing, man.
Who's committing the crimes?
Well, we're talking about the gangs in Baltimore, particularly. I don't think
they're organized. They're popularizing as a truce between each other.
There may be truce between gangs in certain cities, but you know it doesn't carry to every city because most of these are not national contingents anymore.
And this is what they advertise that they're doing. So, but that's good. You know, hopefully that can last beyond this incident, though. That's what I would like to see. You know, I mean, perhaps some more young men's lives can be saved because they're quote unquote in a truce. You know what I'm saying? That'd just be a good thing, because you know the police are killing us, but we're killing ourselves more. So a change in that would be an awesome thing. Man, we want to thank you for listening to Real Family Talk. We'll be here next week, WOKB 1680 AM, your urban empowerment and inspiration station. This is your host, Jay Real, signing off until next week. No, I guess I'm not signing off.
See ya.
My brother.
Thank you for listening to Real Family Talk. This is one of your co-hosts, Jeremy, a.k.a. Younger Brother. Tune in next week from 9 to 10 p.m. and every Wednesday from 9 to 10 p.m. on WOKB 1680, your urban empowerment and inspiration station. See ya.
My brother, my